Welcome everyone to yet another interview. Today we are going to be talking to CJCJ, the most recent winner, or part of the team that most recently won the first regional in OCE down in Australia. Pretty awesome to see the event and how it unfolded, but to hear all about those details and from the man himself, welcome CJCJ on to the video itself. It's great to have you here. I'm excited to hear your thoughts about how things went, but the first question we have here, man, and I like to ask everyone this: who is CJCJ?
Oh, who is CJCJ? That's interesting. I guess I'll just take it back to the start. So yeah, I've always, been sort of involved in video games, playing games and stuff. Never professionally, just, playing a bit of FIFA here and there and stuff like that. And yeah, I was on PlayStation. I was called CJ_is_Slayin. I thought that was really cool when I was 12. Quickly when I, grew up a little bit, I thought I'd just, change my name to CJCJ, add another CJ on the end. That's it. Just my initials twice. And I found Rocket League the day it came out, basically. I was playing back on PlayStation, still with CJ is Slayin, a really cool name. And, it came out and it was free on PlayStation and I picked it up and yeah, it was a really cool game. I mean, Rocket League's so cool. It's unique. Like it's just, driving a car around a field and hitting a soccer ball or a football. So I was really interested in it to start with because I sort of enjoyed FIFA and just general sports and sport games. So yeah, just started playing it and all of a sudden, I guess it's with Rocket League, you're lucky because it's such a unique sort of game, if that makes sense. Like with other like shooting games that come out, usually the pros at that have already been a professional at a different shooter like Counter-Strike or something like that. But with Rocket League, unless you sort of played the original game, there was no real advantages for anyone. I guess just racing car game experience. So I was pretty lucky that, picking it up very early when it came out and just playing it and gradually started getting a bit better at it. I was top 100 on the leaderboards in the preseason. So I had the Platinum Crown. I think it was in 2v2 back then. So started playing a bit of ranked, and then I think a couple of guys from America actually chucked me a message. So I think they were floating around in the Oceania servers. I'm not sure why, but they were like, "Hey man, do you want to play in an ESL?" And I didn't really know what ESL was or what was going on, but they were looking for someone to play with, and they thought I was pretty good. So I was like, "Sure, I'll play in this ESL tournament at 6 a.m. my time on a Sunday morning." So
Oof.
I joined in, jumped into a random ESL tournament. Didn't know what I was doing, and I was good at Rocket League at the time. This was sort of the end of 2015, early 2016, I'd say. Like I was good at Rocket League, but I still couldn't aerial or anything. Like in that time, in the early days of Rocket League, only the veterans like the SARP BC, the Supersonic, Acrobatic, Rocket Powered, whatever, were really good at aerialing and stuff. So I was good at Rocket League without being anywhere near acceptable in today's sort of climate. But we played in that tournament and we actually ran into Air Force 1 or Air Force 2, which had DigDog22, which I'm sure some of you may know. He currently works at Sonics now, I think. But he was a SARP veteran and he was just aerialing everywhere. I was like, this is actually incredible watching these guys just fly around, going absolutely nuts. So that really motivated me to try to improve a bit more and learn how to aerial and stuff. And then from then on, just started competing in other online tournaments, forming new teams, forming better teams, and working my way up till eventually, Season 4 happened where I formed with Pale Horse Esports with Kami and Kia. And before I knew it, I was off to my first World Championships in Washington, D.C.
Let's talk about the majors and kind of like how things were working for you and your team and how you kind of became a part of this Renegades roster, because you mentioned it, you were part of Pale Horse, and at one point you were part of Tainted Minds, then, the Chiefs itself, just based on acquisitions happening there. How did you and your teammates find the Renegades organization and find each other to form the team that are currently competing in the RLCS?
Oh, well, Renegades were a part of they joined the OCE region after I believe they had Dapper's team over in North America, and then they sort of wanted to get involved in the OCE region. Obviously, they have an Australian Counter-Strike team, and they're sort of involved in the Australian scene. So they picked up Torsos, Kami, and Siki, I believe. It might have been Zen, actually. I'm not too sure, but one of those teams, and they started getting into the scene. Obviously, I was on Chiefs. And it came to a point where I believe Drippe had actually gone to North America. If you don't know who Drippe is, an awesome player who's now retired. Hopefully he comes back. I think he's semi-retired. We might see him back, but he went obviously to North America to compete. He came back, and when he did come back, I teamed with him, but we didn't quite make the World Championships in season 8, I want to say. And then after that, Drippe wanted to reunite with Torsos, obviously the original Chiefs lineup with Drippe, Torsos, and Jake, or Drippe, Torsos, and Kami in that season 6 World Champs that got 4th. They wanted to get back together, and they wanted to pick up Kami as well. So they wanted to bring back the season 6 sort of Chiefs lineup, but Kami was still with Siki and Torsos at the time. Kami and Siki are really good friends, and Kami didn't really want to leave him and didn't want to go to that lineup. So the two sort of split up, where Drippe and Torsos sort of went one way, and then Kami and Siki went the other way. So then there was sort of a spot on Renegades with Kami and Siki, because they were still sponsored by them to sort of join them. And yeah, I sort of found my way in there into that lineup, and we had some pretty good success. We won a few of the COVID majors, I guess, the Spring Series and the RLO Grand Slam, which were two like massive online events sort of in the off season during RLCS X, I want to say. And towards the end of the year, or towards the end of the third split of RLCS X, Siki decided that he wanted to go over to America, not move over to America, but go visit his partner over there. So there was a spot now for me and Kami to try and pick up someone, and we actually landed an absolute superstar in Fever, who I'm sure if any of you guys have seen any OCE at Rocket League, you know who he is. He's just a young wizard of the game, a young mechanical god. So we picked him up, and we played with him in the third split. We won a regional in our second event together, which was pretty awesome, considering how short of a time frame we had to practice, probably 3 or 4 weeks of practicing. And then we didn't quite go as well in the major, and obviously we didn't make top 2. We missed out by like 50 points in the top 2, which meant that we missed out on sort of the OCE championships, the $100,000 top 2 finals. And so we just kept grinding, staying together in the off season, and here we are today. We just took out the first regional of the next season, and hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
Great success is all I gotta say, from going to barely missing out on the top 2 now into the new season, and especially with the majors coming back, every single win is that much more important. So let's talk about your journey through the regional itself. I mean, how did that fare for you and your team? Obviously came out on top, but like, who are the teams that kind of look the most competitive there, and ones to kind of like keep an eye out for the future regional events for this split?
Yeah, well, sort of for us, we obviously stuck together throughout the off season, and for some reason in OCE, like, no one decides to stick together. So as Yummy Cheeseman was pointing out on the cast, we are actually the second longest standing roster in the region, despite only being together for the last split of RLCSX.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy, but we certainly use that to our advantage. Obviously with Ground Zero, they dominated. They won 8 of 12 events in RLCSX. And they sort of took a big sort of off-season. They didn't quite play as much, and they weren't participating in the off-season tournaments. Where for us, we sort of hit the ground running. We had a couple of weeks off after RLCSX, and then we sort of just hit the ground running, and we took out pretty much we took out all the gauntlets, which is sort of like our grid, if you will. We took out every single one of those, and plus the monthly final. So we were participating in all the off-season tournaments, scrimming all the time, and just trying to work on our chemistry, and I guess gelling more as a team. And that really paid dividends, I think, in the first regional, because we had the results in scrims in an off-season tourneys, but everyone was sort of thinking, well, can they back it up? Can they match it on, on an RLCS day, on the big days where the pressure's on? And we sort of got there. But the regional itself was really smooth for us. It probably couldn't have asked for a better run, I'd say. It basically went as good as we could have hoped. So we went top of the Swiss stage. We had obviously the invitational qualifier to get into the event, which was top 16 seeded teams. We qualified through that. I think we were we qualified third for that. I think we lost to Riot Gaming in one of the games, but that wasn't too. They played really well, and we do respect Riot Gaming a lot. So we were certainly looking out for them the next week. But our aim was just to qualify, get through at least top 3, top 4. And then in the Swiss stage, top 16, we went top of the group. We went 9-1. We had a really good run in that as well, taking down Wildcard Gaming, which we respect a lot as well, with Siki, Decker, and Caveman Ben, a new lineup. And so, we got the first seed, going into the final, the top 8. So we're looking in a pretty good spot. We came up against Fakidin Gaming in the quarterfinals. That's a team that nearly beat Ground Zero last season in the RLCSX. These guys are just 3 young, like 15, 16-year-olds that are just mechanical gods. And fortunately for us, we probably have just a bit more consistency than them. They're really good. Like, they can put together a really good series, but they can also be very inconsistent as well. So they're always scary to play. But we dropped the first game and then won the next 4, which was huge for us. So we just adapted after game 1. They sort of came out of the gate swinging. And then we had a really cruisy sort of semi-final against Direwolves, another team that can be really good on their day. So we 4-0'd them. Fever really popped off in that series, and we had a lot of confidence going into the grand finals. And we eventually, I guess, came up against a Ground Zero team who were sort of they weren't looking at their best, I'd say. They only beat Right Gaming in a game 7, although Right Gaming are looking really good, so that's nothing to take away from them. But they probably didn't have the cleanest sort of runs through. And yeah, we got them in the grand finals, and I guess everyone sort of saw on Twitter and stuff the first series that happened. We beat them, I think it was like 25 goals to 3 or something over the 4-0. We 4-0'd them in the first series, and one of the games was a 10-0 where they sort of just gave up in the last game. So we broke a record of the greatest goal differential in a series, and it was in a grand final, which is pretty cool. But unfortunately for us, this isn't just one best of 7 this time. There's sets of best of 3, best of 7s. So we had to do another best of 7, and we got rolled in game 7. They came back, they hit the ground running, they were looking really good. And yeah, we certainly could have taken that out, but then in the third series, we bounced back and we only conceded 1 goal and 4-0'd them again. So I think to do that was sort of, we were more happy with, because if we just beat them in the game 7 in the second series, people might have just thought, oh, well, Ground Zero started rough, but they picked it up, and Renegades have only just hung on after dominating the first series. But for us to sort of collect ourselves and then come back in the third series and have sort of a repeat of series number 1 was sort of more impressive for us. So overall for the team, I'm really happy with how we went, and yeah, just how it all panned out. We couldn't really ask for a better sort of first event of the season.
That's crazy too, because like looking at that final series of the best of 7s, it was only
Yeah.
1 goal that was scored against you guys in that final game. It was almost a perfect sweep at the end of the day too against Ground Zeros. I mean, you were talking about specifically how they won, was it like 8 out of 12 of the main events for the past season? Do you just think that they were kind of off their game, or just because of all these teams shaking up their rosters and kind of taking the time in the off season that gave you guys that much of an edge?
I think we've certainly improved. As I said, we've been working really hard in the off season, and I think that a lot of teams have sort of noticed that. I've sort of seen a lot of comments going around from other players, I guess, in the OCE scene, sort of saying that they were thinking that we would win that. Although I guess to the outside, seeing how well Ground Zero went in the RLCSX and thinking, oh, well, now it's back in RLCS, so they'll just start winning. They probably thought that Ground Zero were the favourites for that. We certainly backed ourselves, and I'm not sure if you saw, but we haven't actually been scrimming each other, us and Ground Zero, since before the major of last season. So I think that also is playing into our strengths as well, because we've been really working hard, and I think that what we have, and just our style of play and the way we pressure, is unlike sort of any other team. So I think it really can catch a team like Ground Zero off guard when they haven't been scrimming, I guess, against us, and probably weren't quite as ready for what we're going to bring.
Let's talk about the major itself and kind of what we expect from the OCE region, and also kind of the entire competition itself. This is just speculation at this point, because it's been like 2 years since we've had like an international LAN, and you guys, as you were telling me before the call, participated in all those different DreamHack events itself. But now that we're finally going to be getting some international competition, you guys, did pretty decently at the ones you've participated in. Do you think it's going to be the same, or is OCE here to show up and get more of those spots for the actual World Championship?
I think we're here to show up. I think it's about time. Obviously, it's been 2 years since the LAN, so no one really knows how anyone's going to go. But I think certainly our region's improved. I'd say that in general, sort of Rocket League, it's got a lot more consistent. I wouldn't say the skill ceiling has really improved. I'd say the pace has improved, and just the level of play has got a lot more consistent. So, yeah, I'd say that we've closed the gap. I'd love to see it at a LAN. Obviously, we're all about setting goals, not expectations. We're not going to expect anything if we do make the major, but we'll be setting a goal to really make a statement out there. And I think that if the other team is, say, ground zero, they'll be thinking the same thing as well. So we certainly, it would be awesome just to get back. I think that I'd expect the first major, just because it's been 2 years since an international event, where I can't see it being quality Rocket League like compared to what we're seeing online, just because of sort of the situation and how long it's been. But I think that we can really shake it up. So everyone sort of got into me. I predicted on first touch, I think it was, where ground zero were going to get fifth or something like that at the major or at Worlds. So I'm expecting a lot from them, or hoping that they do well, and we're certainly setting some high goals as well. So I guess a different mindset this time. I think that before, when OCE teams go, it's just like, oh, this is really cool, we made it, and then you sort of, that's it, like that's sort of the end point. But I think now it's more than that for the OCE teams. It's getting over there and trying to get a job done. So there's certainly a different mindset, and I don't think we'll have any pressure on us, because no one really expects anything from OCE. So I think that'll help us, and we'll just be able to do our thing and try and just replicate what we're doing down here regionally.
Well, it just gets me super excited for the major itself and everything that's going to be happening there. I mean, it's been great to have you on the call as well, to get your thoughts on, the season itself, how you guys have been performing, how that somehow, even with everything that's happened in the past years or so, that you guys are still the second longest standing roster. I mean, I didn't even know that until you told me. That's just insane to see that's how much these regions have just been trying to figure out the perfect mesh for their teams to propel themselves into those major events. But before I send you off, any final thoughts, shout outs, and where can people find you on social media?
Just, I guess, shout out to obviously representing the OCE region. Make sure you tune in Rocket League OCE. We play every weekend, so it might not be at a good time for you, but if you just follow the channel, you might be up at a time and you see it's on. So make sure you watch us and get behind us. I think that there's a lot of sort of people that sit back from the bleachers and watch sort of half a game or a game here and there, and then sort of say, oh, this region's not that good. I implore you to watch a series or two and see how we go. I think that, the more exposure we get, the better, and we're only getting better as a region. So shout out to them. Shout out to Renegades, obviously, supporting us, supporting the team, and the teammates, Kami Fever, LVP. And you can find me on twitch.tv/CJCJ or on Twitter at CJCJ_RL. So follow me on there. I'll be streaming and streaming a bit more. We sort of sometimes do scrims as well. I know Kami as well, twitch.tv/KamiRL, I think. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, Kami RL. He will be streaming scrims nearly every night. So I think that's something that the other regions don't really do. We don't have comms. We mute the comms for the most part. Sometimes we don't if we're just in a chill mood. But it's a good way to sort of see scrims, and no really, I don't think any other teams really do that, stream scrims, maybe here and there. But it's a good way to sort of see how we're going, and you can sort of see, what it looks like in the OCE region. So check him out, and make sure you follow my Twitch, and I'll be live hanging out. I'm always happy to talk about other regions or do some tier lists or predictions for majors and worlds and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to have you here, CJCJ, and good luck in the other regionals, and hopefully we see you at the major. I mean, pretty confident based on the performance this next time. But again, it's about those goals and seeing how you guys can achieve those. I think there's going to be some great results for you and the other teams from the OCE region. And again, it's been so long since we've had LAN events. I'm just so happy for this upcoming season. And, as he said, follow all those channels. Make sure to keep up with the region itself. I mean, even if you're in the East Coast like I am, at about 2 a.m. typically when stuff starts for the actual events themselves. And even if you're on the West Coast, it's even better because you don't even have to wait that long. So definitely make sure to keep an eye on this region, because it is probably going to shock a lot of people, I feel like, at these major events. But again, thank you so much, and have a good night, man. It's been an awesome time.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to come on and chat. And I'm looking forward to your next sort of interviews with some other players. I really enjoyed listening to how Doomsy's going in the APAC region. So looking forward to it.